Morning, folks. Welcome to the Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. Thank you for joining me today. Tone in this one is going to be a little different. This is usually a news program. We have a lot of news stories. We've been covering the Epstein case. Hunter Biden did an interview. We love Hunty B. He's a founding member of the 12. All those things are true, but I do feel like I can't do them this week. I can't do them this week because I have to be honest with where I'm at and what is going on. I know you guys know me in a podcast sense. I'm sure some of you are personal friends. Maybe some of you saw my Instagram post, but unfortunately, over the weekend, I lost my dad, and that is where I'm at right now, and that is what's going on. It's going to be, I promise we'll have a fun episode. I'm not going to be weeping, but I want to talk about what's going on. To the extent that I have turned this show into a solo program where it is me, it means it's something that I want to share myself with you guys, and I want to be honest about what's going through my head and what I find to be interesting and going on in my world. And this week, it is not the news. It is not politics. When you have a big life event, I think one of the blessings is it's a clarifying moment. You realize immediately what actually matters to you. And sure, there are global events are important to me. That's why I talk about them every week. But it's interesting. You lose somebody and immediately it's like when you're sick. You know when you're sick and all of a sudden there's just certain things that usually you like, usually are a part of your life, and then all of a sudden you're just like, ugh. Oh, God. You have the flu, and you're like, oh, my God, a cheeseburger sounds horrific. I want like one blueberry is what I want right now. And that kind of happens to you emotionally when something happens. You realize, oh, that stuff that I usually do sounds bad. I haven't wanted to go on social media. I haven't wanted to dive deep in the news. I haven't, even all of a sudden you realize the people in your life that are most important, and you go, I want to be with them. There's only a couple people that you want to talk to. It's clarifying, and it's kind of beautiful. This is an interesting platform for me to try to discuss it, because again, I'm not going to come on here and weep. Look, guys, folks, ladies, gentlemen, no, I'm not going to come on here and weep. I've been doing that. Okay, it's Wednesday since Sunday. I've been putting up numbies, dude. Putting up numbies, eyes leaking, face puffy. What it is, not a P. Diddy joke. You have different sides of yourself, and that was one thing that I thought about in the idea of even doing this. And who knows if I'll even release it. I think my purpose of doing this is to. Usually I get out a podcast every week. I want to see if it feels good. I want to see if it feels like a time and place. I want to see if it's something that I want to come back to. I want to see if it's something that I put out there and maybe it resonates with you because you're going through it or you've gone through it, and maybe it will feel good. But the fact of the matter is, as I was thinking about doing this podcast, it is kind of funny because my podcast voice is not really the best voice for me in discussing this. We all have different sides of ourselves, different voices, different parts of ourselves that we show to different parts of the world. It's not unique. It's inevitable. It's who we all are. My stand-up comedy voice is different from my podcast voice, is different from me talking to my boys, is different from me talking to my wife, is different from me talking to my brother, my mom, and of course how I talk to my dad. And he was that way too. To be honest about him, he was an amazing guy. I wrote a post that I think I'll read because I'll read it near the end of the show because the written word is a different voice from how I podcast, and I'd like to share those thoughts with you and how I memorialized him and my takeaway, and I'll do that at the end. But the truth is, I loved him. He was my dad. We were close friends. He was an amazing person, and we had some incredible times. To the extent that I am successful, a lot of that is from me watching him and seeing him and him building his own business and being like, that's what I want to do when I grow up. I want to build my own business. I want to travel the world. I want to have to, do business travel and all the things that he did. And yeah, Dad, I am a member of the United Club as well. Hertz Gold member, Marriott Bonvoy, Gold Elite. I'm with you, Pops. But he did have other sides, and he, at the end, and a lot of this was condition. He was starting to deal with some mental loss, some physical problems. He'd been in the hospital. His main thing was he did not want to stick around too long because he watched what happened with his dad in dementia. It was his big fear, and he didn't want it to happen. And as much as I have been crying this week because I miss my dad, and I literally always will, as his friend, I'm also happy that he got his wish that he talked about a lot. But he did have different sides, and he had different voices. And you know what? He could, and I will be honest about it, he could be a difficult people to a lot of the people in his life. And I'm not going to go into specifics. I don't think that's really necessary. But I'm sharing it because I think that that's probably not an uncommon experience for a lot of people with people in their life. They leave and you hear stories, and some of them are amazing. Most of them are amazing. And then you hear some, and you're like, well, I didn't necessarily deal with that person exactly. And I'm grateful for the voice that I got from him most of the time. For a man who could at times be difficult, I, was kind of the one in the family that when he needed... Well, he never asked for help, but when we felt like he needed to be talked to, it fell on me because I was apparently the only person he listened to, and that was roughly about 10% of listenership. I bring that up because it is interesting, because I don't know how to use my podcast voice to discuss this personal thing that's going on in my life, but I think that's okay. I think that's one of the things that I've been experiencing over the last few days is I'm going through grief, and that I want to share for anyone who is or will, is that you don't know what's going to feel right in 10 minutes. You don't, and it's really hard to plan ahead. Maybe you're going to want to be with friends. Maybe you're not going to want to be alone, and then maybe your friends are going to come over, and you're going to be hanging out with them, and then maybe 10 minutes into that, you're going to be like, I kind of do want to be alone. Now, don't be a lunatic and tell them to leave, but maybe you go in the bathroom and you cry a little bit, and that's okay. Dude, crying actually slaps. No cap on God. Dude, having a quick weep, just a solo weep or a weep with a friend, a weep with a loved one, a quick weep. Dude, weeping rocks. I think that is something that is maybe newer to our generation. We talk about, people like to lionize like the great American male who's just like smoking a Marlboro and was like, of course my dad died. They all die. Who cares? We got to go fight the natives. We all have, there's benefits and drawbacks to all things. I think it has been great for me to just be heartbroken and just like in pain. Like that's been helpful. That's been good. That's been necessary. And then I go through that, and then that's what allows me to like then get to the point where I can see like, you know what? He was getting to a place that he didn't want to be, and I need to be happy for him that he was able to avoid what he really wanted, what he really didn't want rather. But it's tough, and it's okay that it's tough. And one of the things that has been a blessing going through this is just putting it out there, and then, you realize that everybody will go through this. It's one of the things that our king, our great and powerful Hunter Biden said in his interview on Channel 5 with Andrew Callahan. Give it a watch. We'll review it next week. I didn't have time to pull clips. My father passed. But he was talking about how the one thing that actually unites humanity is that we do all go through tragedy. He made an interesting point. He said, actually, if you get to experience love, you're lucky, because that's not guaranteed. It's not. You will experience tragedy. Sounds like a bummer, because it is. But I think it's actually kind of helpful and illuminating, and it makes me grateful for the things that I do have and that I have had, because I have gotten to experience love, not only in my relationship, not only with my friends. And so the amount of texts that I've gotten from men that are like, I love you. I don't know if my dad ever got that. I hope so. I said it a lot. I would say it every time we hung up the phone. I would say, I love you, and he would say it back. And it was beautiful, and I do love him, and I still say it, and I'd like to think that he can hear it. I have gotten to experience a lot of love. So I think that highlighting the downsides, the obvious tragedies, the sad parts of life, it gives you the stark relief in which to appreciate the good things. My father's passing has allowed me to go back and remember and feel versions of him that I had lost. In anyone's current state, when you walk down and someone's sitting there, and I guess I haven't even mentioned this, the reason I'm sitting in this chair, this is my dad's chair. He loved this chair. He spent, frankly, too much time in it at the end. I think he would know that. Shout out, Dad. I'm allowed to ridicule you. It's what you would have wanted. When he was in the hospital, we talked about getting him back to this chair. For Christmas one year, I printed out a photo of this chair and I gave it to him, and I said, I wanted you to have something that you truly loved. Old men love a chair. It's a fact of life. I didn't invent it. My dad didn't invent it. Grandfathers, it's time immemorial. People say man's best friend is a dog. It might be a chair. It might be a chair. And that's okay. That's okay, because you know what? You get to a point and you give up. And you shouldn't, and I wish he hadn't. But he was giving up a little bit, and that's okay. That's okay. He had his chair, and his chair had him. And his chair misses him, and I do too. But the amount of outpouring of love and stuff that I've gotten from friends, and the emotional openness that I feel like exists in our society today to some extent is a beautiful thing. And it's been a beautiful experience. And even though this experience has made me really sad and depressed about the finite nature of humanity, it's one of our flaws. The fact that we die is so gay. And I love gay people. I'm not being that. I grew up with that word. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. Kind of. Because if you live forever, you'd just be a piece of shit, right? If you live forever, you'd take everything for granted every day. You'd be like, Jesus Christ, what do we do? I'm going to have to take out the trash forever, dude? Oh, kill me now. There are benefits and drawbacks. Sometimes you get tired and it is time to go. But the blessing from this and what I was talking about and thinking about is when someone goes, you have the ability to go back and reach back and experience the totality of them and what your experience was. Yes, highlighting the sides that they showed you, but also experiencing parts of them in the past that have gone by. When I would come down and see my dad, I would experience him as he was now, and he was growing more limited. He was becoming frustrated because he couldn't do the things that he wanted to do, and he couldn't be the man that he once was, which was a very capable, very intelligent, at times troubled, but at times really, really charming and sweet and wonderful and open and welcoming. He could be all those things. We can all be all those things. But at the end, he was becoming someone that he didn't want to be a little bit. And before it got too bad, I think he went. But what it has allowed me to do is go back and unlock memories that I'd forgotten. Moments skiing, the feeling of Little League All-Stars, the friends that I still have from that. Looking back at the photos, I could feel full feelings from the past that I haven't felt in such a long time, and it's such a beautiful feeling and such a beautiful blessing. And it was like moments that I could feel. I was standing on a pier in Tahoe, and I could feel a younger version of him. I could feel it, dude. I don't even know how to describe it to you. I could fully feel it, and I hadn't been able to feel that in a long time. And maybe it's because I wasn't pushed to. You end up, of course, looking back at things, wishing I would have been more present. I should have called more in the last week. I should have been, asked him more questions in the last couple of days. You could do it. You will do it to yourself, but you shouldn't. It doesn't. It's useless. You can't do that. That's not how life works. You turn back the clock and ridicule yourself for the last 2 weeks. Well, turn back the clock 20 years and remember what a beautiful thing happened, and you'd forgotten about that, and now you get to experience it again. It's something I hope I do a better job of in my own life, is looking back, but sometimes you don't want to because it kind of hurts because you miss you, and you're like, damn, I was fucking hot. What the fuck, dude? Did I have abs? What the fuck, dude? I look nice. But you're probably the hottest you'll ever be. You're getting older, and we're all dying. Guys, I don't want to be a bummer. It's a sad time, but there are nice takeaways. It's obviously the sort of thing that makes you question and wonder about what you believe in. Because someone who's important to you as a father, or whatever it may be in your own life, you'll lose someone, and immediately comes the question, okay, what is your belief? What do you think happens? If you've been given a religious structure and you actually fully believe it, and you can go down that path, and you have one that's laid out before you. If not, then you have to wonder. My dad was someone who was like, I promise we just die. He took confidence in feeling like he knew things, and so that was the easiest thing to know, was like, oh, we die. I challenged him on it, though. He was very anti-religion. He was very anti-woo-woo. He was very just straightforward, like, I want to go eat at a steakhouse and I want to die. I'm an American man. I will eat a steak and I will die. Don't ask questions. He could be more open than that, but you know what? That's not a completely unfair characterization. And you know what? Eating a steak and dying can both be very nice. Sometimes you have to eat a steak and die. It's okay. When I pressed him on it, he was like, no, there could be something. I realize I don't know everything. I'm not so arrogant to say that there's nothing out there. But for someone who didn't believe in much of the supernatural, I have to say, and not to get my crystals out, when you start paying attention to little things in the universe and you're really looking for signs and things that maybe make something feel meant to be, sure, it could be something that we do to make ourselves feel better about a finite and pointless nature, or potentially, assuming that this entire experience that we're having is completely at random is also arrogant and ridiculous. And watching some of the things that happen, the circumstances surrounding his passing, it's hard for it not to feel like it was something that felt right. Not to get too in the weeds here, and maybe this is a lot to share on a public platform, but one of the beings he loved most in this world was our dog Spencer, and he went out a mere foot from where that dog had done so decades before. The fact that it happened in a very special place, that a ton of very special, deep, heavy, beautiful, important canon events in my family have all happened in this one place, that we only have for a couple weeks a year, that we could all be together, that I wasn't on the road, that there happened to even be a 9 a.m. Giants game, which rarely happens, which was just a few hours before, and we could watch that together. There's a lot of things. More things that I'm not going to get into because they're personal, and also because they're not verifiable, and maybe you'll think I'm crazy, and maybe I don't really care. My experience is correct, and you can suck my cosmic dick. It's just, even when the timing is right, it's not right, because there is no right time. So even when something feels like it is in some way preordained or as it should be, there is no right time, because you'll spend the rest of your life wishing for one more time. There's no way to not be sad, even if it's what somebody wanted. It is sad. You know, he used to tell me, and he would get extreme about this, because his dad suffered from dementia, and the way that he went out, quite honestly, in a lot of ways, ruined my dad going forward. So he would tell me, hey, before I get to that point, you have to kill me. I tried to explain to him that ruining my own life by committing capital murder on his sake, while also ruining myself forever by turning me into some sort of Dexter figure who murders for good, might not be the best thing for my mental health. I might have to be the first person in this family to see a therapist. Didn't really matter. He was like, take me out back with a shovel. He could have a way with words. He was a beautiful man, and I miss him. And trying to make this fun, I'm trying to make it relatable. It may not ever see the light of day. I might just be doing it for myself or for nobody, or it doesn't really matter. I'm just doing it. And that was a point that I'd left off a little bit earlier in this conversation, where I was just saying, you know, when you're going through something like this, it's really just about trying to do what feels right. And you don't know what that is, because your feelings change. But they're there, and there is a truth to them. There is a ring to them. And sometimes it is be with people. Sometimes it is be alone. Sometimes it is cry. Sometimes it is laugh. Sometimes it is express. Sometimes it is shut down. Sometimes it is drink. And for his, it was drink too much. And that you do that, and it can take you away from the actual feeling, and you don't want to do that either. But I think it's interesting because, yes, it's clarifying that when you're going through something, you need to listen to yourself and try to be okay with yourself and try to just do what feels right. But what's interesting to me is I think that that's an intuition that we have all the time in our life. And in the modern era that we live in, I worry that more and more we get away from that. And I say we, I can only talk about my own life. But when I get consumed with everything that's going on online, what is the story of the day? What's going on my feeds? What's this? And constantly gathering information and moving from information to entertainment to content to blah, 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 blah. At some point, the thing that we stop listening to is ourselves. And it can take a huge moment, a sad moment, a moment of grief to force you back into some sort of closeness with yourself that allows you to hear your intuition a little more. And you don't want to walk around being raw all the time. You want to patch that up and become yourself and let your ego rebuild. But an ego death every once in a while is a good thing. And so I've been trying to utilize the concept of silence a little more. And that could be a place we're going. I saw an interesting tweet. Elon Musk said something about how he's bringing back Vine, but with AI. And someone said something that's like, in a world where everyone can create content and all there becomes is more and more noise, eventually the only option will be silence. It's what we're going to want. There's a part of you that just goes, ugh, turn it off. I want to listen to me. I want to listen to what's going on. I want to hear things. And that's a space that I hope I can live in for a little bit longer, because it is the silence. Those are the moments when I'm able to go back and I'm able to feel the version of him that I love, the version of him that I miss, the versions of him that I do want to take with me, the great version of my dad. We all have a good version of ourselves and a bad version of ourselves, and it's not even that simple. It's a lot more complex. It's 3-dimensional. It's probably 4-dimensional. I don't know how many dimensions there are. I'm not even high. But I know that there are great versions of all of us, and there are versions of all of us that we struggle with, that aren't our best selves. And the great thing is, when someone moves on and you know them, you get an opportunity to try to take, and you don't have to wait for them to move on. You should do it sooner. But you get to try to take their best versions, incorporate them within yourself. Look at their lessons, the things they did wrong. Try and learn from them. They exist in your life for a reason. And teachers can be people who teach you by showing you the ways to be or the ways not to be. You can always learn something. There is a Buddhist thought. I've read about half a book on Buddhism, and I identify with it deeply as a white guy who enjoys weed every once and again. But there's a great Buddhist teaching that basically it talks about how we all have seeds within us. Different ones. We all have different strengths, different desires, wants, proclivities, different sides of our higher self, different sides of our lower self. We are truly unique as people. I think it's beautiful. Man, I'm getting deep. Thanks, Dad. But your ability is your job in tending to your own garden is to try and water the good ones and try not to water the bad ones. And you will sometimes. Sometimes you will water the weeds, and you have to go back in and pull them out, okay? Sometimes you will water the weeds, but you also have beautiful sides of yourself, and it is your job, and your job alone, people can help you, but they can't do it for you, to water the good seeds, to try to grow the plants, the beautiful things, the flowers that you want to be your garden that people remember you by. And it's also your job to make sure you're not watering the bad ones. It'll happen from time to time, and then you have to go weed them out. And you know, it's funny that I thought of that right now because one of my dad's pride and joys around the house were his flowers. His osteopernums, I believe, were his favorite. The older he got, the more that was something that was special to him. So it is a fitting metaphor. I have a lot more that I could say on this. I don't really know how long I want to go. It's one topic. It's a little slow, but it's something that if I do put this out, that I just want to share with you guys, because one thing that I've learned through all the messages that I've received is that this is a very common experience. We all go through it. It's part of life. It is a sad part of life, but in a lot of ways, sometimes the really sad, I'm a few days out, so the first day, just devastating. I mean, like really, really hard. But over time, it's you get to experience it in a way that, even though it's sad, it is real. And, sometimes something that is sad and painful and devastating, but actually real, can feel better than something that is shallow and fake and not connected to, your deeper reality of what this all is. It's a reminder. We're not here. Hug your loved ones. Try to be your best self. I'll close by reading what I wrote, because I'm better at... you wouldn't know it since I make my entire living speaking, but I'm actually better at writing. It's just that nobody reads anymore. So I'll read it to you. I lost my dad on Sunday. It hurts. It's hard to imagine who I'd be without my dad. At age 26, he was the city manager of Los Gatos, California. At age 26, I hadn't even started running for fake mayor. He taught me that Avery's work hard. He started a business. He traveled the country. He showed me that you can roll up your sleeves and do it yourself. Any success I've had in my career is because of that. He always thought he was right, which was frustrating because I'm always right. He, without a doubt, won that game in the end. He was frustratingly smart. He wasn't perfect, but I loved him both as my dad and as my friend. As my dad, it's really hard to let him go. As his friend, this is how and when he wanted it to happen, in our favorite place, surrounded by family, before age took what was left of him. A lot of the photos here in the post are from games. Here's my advice. Go to the game, the play, the car show, go to the thing. You never know how many you get. Sometimes it can feel like you've drifted from a loved one. That's a great time to go to the game and sit there for hours. Have a beer, talk about the players, complain about the players. The new guy sucks. Have another beer. Ask a question you haven't asked in all your years together. Remember the answer. Maybe your team wins. Maybe they don't, but you win. You always win. We went to a lot of games. His last morning with us, I sat with him and watched the Giants game. I'm grateful for that, and I'll still spend the rest of my life wishing for one more game. I love you, Dad. And I do. Love you, Dad. First Giants World Series, and I'm wearing a shirt. I think this is from the second one. 3 and, every other year. Not a big deal. Dynasty. The first time they ever won, I'll never forget where I was. I wasn't in San Francisco, out in the street partying. I wasn't out. I was in college. I was in San Diego. I wasn't out with friends. I went to a middle-of-the-road Marriott, I think, downtown San Diego, and I watched it alone in a hotel room with my dad. And that was the best World Series I'll ever get to watch. Hug your loved ones, folks. You know it. It's a reminder. We all know it. This goddamn thing don't last forever. Hug yourself as well, because you're a finite being too. And whatever grand project your life is, I hope you do the best job you can of it. It's easy to get off the rails, but you know which way you want to go. I'll actually leave you with words from a sales manager that I had that his friend passed, and I guess I don't even remember it exactly, but it did stick with me. He said, this life we get is not a rehearsal. Maybe Nathan Fielder's is, but that's a whole nother thing. It's not practice, it's the game. So go to the game, do the thing, show up for the people in your lives. Whoever you are, there's a good side to you. Make sure to water that seed. This has been The Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. Tone will be different next week, folks. We're just going to have to get back to normal stuff. It will feel good, but it didn't feel right, and I'm really just trying to do what feels right in a time in my life where not as many things do. But that's okay. That's part of it. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. Good night. Thank God I have a podcast.